As a person who loves the color blue, this trip couldn't get any better for me. For starters, I am in the city of Jodhpur, which is known as the Blue City, and I'm here to drive the new Ford Figo, which now comes in a Titanium Blue variant. And appropriately enough, I am as well dressed in blue. So now, without much further ado, let me talk about what is new in this Ford Figo Titanium Blue. Oh, I just made a rhyme there. For this new variant, Ford has not tweaked the exteriors too much. I would say they have tastefully changed a few things, which is not a bad thing essentially, because the Figo looks pretty good as it is. So now you have in this Titanium Blue variant auto headlamps, and you have this new grille. So you have this blacked out grille. Along with that, you get this blue accent. Now people are calling it C-shape, but I think it looks more like a J, a fancy one. And moving on, at the side you have these black ORVMs, which are obviously electronically operatable, and you also get bigger 15-inch alloys on the side in this top end model. So the models below this come with 14-inch wheels, but this gets a bigger 15-inch wheel, and it has a 195 by 55 tire on it. The roof gets a different paint job, black in this case, and on the side and on the back you get decals to make the car look more sporty and more appealing to young buyers. On the inside, the biggest change in this Titanium Blue variant that you'll see would be the use of the color blue once again. So you have this blue accent on the door panels. The seats get a blue stitch and the word blue written on them. And then the most useful change that I feel is the addition of this floating touchscreen infotainment system, which is quite functional. The touch functionality is very good. It's very smooth. You can easily operate it, and even the console, the center console, is minimalistic, but I like this design. It's not too flamboyant and it's quite simple to use. There are about 20 cup holders and cubby holes around the cabin, but Ford sadly missed the opportunity to add an armrest for the driver. The instrument panel is still largely analog, and I'm not complaining. I like the look of that. With this new Figo, Ford is also offering 2 airbags as standard, and in the top end variant, which is this one, you get 6 airbags in total, so it's quite a safe car. If I were to nitpick, I would complain about the infotainment system not being compatible with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Also, I feel that since this is the top end variant, Ford could have done a slightly better job at producing a better sound from the speaker system. It's not bad, but compared to the rest of the competition, I think it's a little feeble. So I'm driving around in the scenic city of Jodhpur, and what I am currently driving in is the 1.2 litre petrol version of the new Figo. This new engine has more power and more torque than before, so it produces about 94.6 horsepower and 120 Newton meters of torque. The engine comes mated to a 5-speed manual gearbox. The bump in power and torque figures is quite a decent one, and it makes the car definitely more fun to drive around. The only downside is that the peak power and torque come in quite late in the RPM band, so at 6000 RPM for the power and 4250 RPM for the torque, which means that you need to really step on the accelerator to fully enjoy what the Figo has to offer. But if you want a more spirited drive, then I would recommend that you go for the 1.5 litre diesel engine, because that has a lot more grunt, a lot more power in the mids and the lower RPM bands. So at about 2000 to 2500 RPM, the car is a whole lot of fun. That engine produces the almost same figure of 99 horsepower and 215 Newton meters of torque. That as well comes mated to a 5-speed manual transmission. Then there is also the 1.5 litre petrol engine. This new engine comes mated to an automatic transmission. Sadly, we could not drive that specific model because it's not available right now, but once we do get our hands on it, we will be putting a review for the same. Coming to the transmission, the 5-speed transmission, manual transmission works flawlessly. Ford says that they have tweaked it slightly more based on the customer feedback for the diesel engine, and it's slightly better than before. While I cannot say that for sure, but what I can say is that it's extremely easy to use. It's very smooth, the gear slot in perfectly, and I did not have any issues with the transmission. Ford has not only made the engines more powerful, they have also made them more fuel efficient, which means that the 1.2-litre petrol engine has a rated efficiency of about 20.4 kilometers to a litre, while the 1.5-litre petrol has a fuel efficiency of 16.3 kilometers to a litre, and the diesel is rated for 25.5 kilometers to a litre. Now, we have more of power and also more fuel efficiency. I don't think anyone would have a problem with that. Coming to the tilt adjustable steering wheel, since we are driving the top-end Titanium Blu model, it comes with a leather-wrapped steering wheel. As for the response, it's very responsive and it's quite apt for city usage. It points the car immediately in the direction that you want it to, like you can see right now. I only felt that when you do extreme maneuvers, then you need to turn the steering wheel slightly more than I would have liked, but that's not a problem in most cases. And we have been stopping in many spots, parking in the beautiful spots that Jodhpur has to offer to get some beautiful photos. What I mean to say is that despite so much movement and so much of maneuvering and precise parking, I did not feel that the steering was a bother at all. Both the brakes and the suspension do a fantastic job as well. They're great for city usage. The suspension is quite supple, it soaks in most of the shocks coming in from the road, and you don't feel much of them inside the cabin, and you have quite a pleasant and plush ride. The brakes, you have ventilated discs at the front and drum brake at the rear. Along with that, you get ABS and EBD as standard, of course. So that means that you have quite a lot of progression, and the brakes also do have enough bite to bring you to a halt in case you have to brake in an emergency situation. One thing I must commend Ford for is the level of refinement that the engines come with. So the petrol is obviously more refined than the diesel, but the diesel itself is quite an achievement because inside the cabin you don't get a lot of the groan from the engine, and even the road noise or external sounds don't filter in too much. So you have quite a nicely insulated cabin. There aren't any major vibrations that you feel to make your ride unpleasant, and the petrol obviously shines in this department because even at lower RPMs, well, the car easily pulls ahead. So even if you're at a higher gear and as low as say about 1500 RPM, then that's not a problem because this car can pull through. Why fix something that really isn't broken? I think that is the philosophy that Ford has carried over on the new Figo. They already had a capable product at their hands, and they knew this because of the sales numbers. So they decided not to reinvent the wheel. Rather, they made it a little bigger and gave it alloys. What I mean by that is they made some tasteful changes to bring this car up to the current competition levels. They gave it a new and more powerful engine, and it's not just powerful, it's more fuel efficient, which is great. On top of this, this has always been a great family car. There's loads of space inside and it's quite a safe car as well. So if you are looking for a hatch in this segment, then this is definitely worth a look. In a smart move, Ford has decided to bring down the cost of the new Figo models compared to the outgoing ones. Even the 1.2-litre petrol Blue model and the 1.5-litre diesel have been priced decently. The 1.2 petrol costs 6.94 lakh rupees and the diesel costs 7.74 lakh rupees ex-showroom across India. These, in my opinion, are great prices for the car and the features that they pack.